Hey, everyone. I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope you've had a wonderful week. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, welcome back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And for those of you who are watching the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page, be sure to like this page, share this video, and subscribe to the page. Welcome. Thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Be sure to let me know where you're tuning in from today in the chat. I reside in the Tampa Bay area, Florida. I am happy to be in the sunshine today, you all. For those of you who know me, you know I am not a fan of the snow or the cold. So being up north, I don't know. I don't know. Being up north the last couple weeks, here and there, it was cold. So I'm happy to be back in my sunshine, y'all. But nonetheless, let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I'm going to go through a couple of quick announcements and then, of course, start our mental health moment. If you are new to mental health moment and you're like, what in the world is this all about? Mental health moment is all about how do you work on becoming the best version of who you are so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. So we're here every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about different tips, things you can do, things you can try, and just ways to better yourself. Right. So, hi, thanks so much for joining here. And just make sure that you are doing well and working on being a better version of yourself each day, right? So let me share a couple of quick announcements, and then I'll start today's mental health moment. So first, actually, let me put it in the comments because I know some of you asked from last week. So this is on Amazon. So I have a new ebook that's out. It's called Take a Minute, which is something I preach all the time if you're not new to mental health moment. I'm going to put in the chat here, but take a minute, a year of daily calm and clarity. And okay, hopefully it'll go through. I don't think for some reason, I don't know why, but whenever I put things in the chat, it never wants to work on LinkedIn. So I apologize for my LinkedIn family out there. But it should have gone through for YouTube and Facebook. But it is called Take a Minute, a year of daily calm and clarity. It's a quick ebook. Well, it's not quick because it's 365 pages, but it's a daily thing. So it's not meant for you to be reading unless you really wanted to. 365 pages all at the same time. But what it is meant for you to do is each day go to the date, right? Just like you would do, like, say, a devotional, but go to the date and do that activity. And the goal is for you to work on taking the minute. So it's not something where you have to spend hours and hours of time in your self care. It's something quick, 60 seconds or less, right? But really, taking those 60 seconds, making the commitment to yourself to take care of yourself, to reset and recharge was really my goal of this ebook. I want it to be easy. Now, not everything's easy, of course, but some things are, especially starting out. If you're like, or if you need a reset, you're like, you know what, there's been a lot happening. You've been overwhelmed, stressed out, then take the reset for you. Right. And it's funny because for those of you who are not new to mental health moment, I've been preaching take a minute, actually, yeah, for a very long time, like years and years and years, right? And that's something I personally did myself, was work on taking a minute, right? Because the world can be very overwhelming a lot of times. So I finally, right, put it into this ebook because I didn't. For some of you, it's like, yeah, take a minute, but what do I do? When do I do it? It's like, okay, here it is, right? Like, here's the prompts. Like, here's the things that you can just quickly look in this ebook and say, okay, let me try this today. Let me do this today. Right. And don't beat yourself up if you skip a day. Like, it's okay. Or if you have a stressful week and you didn't get to look at the thing, the short 60-second or less activity to do, like, it's okay. Right. The goal, though, again, is for us to work on getting into your mindset. For those of you who know, I wrote the series about mindset training because that's something very near and dear to my heart personally and professionally. And this is why I've been on here for a gazillion years. It feels like just sharing this with you, because when you work on your mindset, it really can have some big changes in your life, and really transform you to a better version of you. But again, okay, thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Hi from Boston. Welcome back. Good evening from Jamaica. What's going on? Thanks for joining again. And let me know where you're tuning in from. Okay, so that was one of my announcements. So if you're just tuning in, I was just talking about my new ebook, Take a Minute, A Year of Daily Calm and Clarity. It is on Amazon. Excuse me, right now. And the other announcement I have is so rapidly coming up here, you all, is one of my favorite months of the year. May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, of course. So I am working on, and I will get you all the information once I have everything solidified, but I am working, well, a couple things for you all. Some of it I'll share now, and some of it I'll wait until it's official. But I am a long time ago, for those of you who have been on Mental Health Moment for many years, I used to bring on guests. And I haven't done that in a long while because I have been busy traveling the last couple of years. So it's been a little crazy. Some of you who follow Mental Health Moment know that I've done Mental Health Moment in airports, in cars, in like, I don't know, all over the country, like, or in different countries too. But because I try to be here with you all live. So nonetheless, though, I'm going to make sure that I'm working on reaching out to a couple of pretty cool people, I think, for Mental Health Awareness Month. So I will let you all know when, like, so when things are solidified, who the guests are going to be. But I'll be interviewing some people for Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm very excited to share that with you all. And I have a couple other surprises too, but I got to, like I said, I got to finish solidifying it. And then I will let you all know for Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay. Hi from Chicago. Welcome. Just jumped in from LA. Welcome. Hi from Ithaca, New York. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Okay, so I think those are, yes, all my announcements for tonight. Or today, or to this morning, depending on where you're at in the world. So today's mental health moment, I want to talk to you about 3 signs of how you know you need a mental reset. Because gosh, I feel like one of the most common things that I get asked on podcast interviews is, how do I know I'm burnt out? Or how do I know I need to take a break? Like, how do I know I need this mental reset? Right. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips today so you can understand, like, just signs to look for, things to look for, right? Because sometimes we run on autopilot and we don't recognize that we need to take that pause and reset ourselves. So I'm gonna give you a couple signs. Hi from Calhoun. Welcome. Congrats on the book. Thank you. Yes, it's an ebook. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. The ebook, I'm super excited about it. And hope that that's very helpful for you all, of course. Okay. So, 3 signs. So the first thing is, we talk a lot about this on Mental Health Moment, but really making sure that you are aware of where you are at mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? Because if you are in a state where every little thing is bothering you, so you know yourself, right? Whatever your baseline is, if you will, for your mood and your emotions. But if you are at the point where you're finding yourself being very irritated by the smallest things, you feel so overwhelmed, you feel like everything is just too much, right? Like if you're really in that state, that's usually some type of sign that for you to really think about taking that mental reset, right? Because if you're able to really take the step back and you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't as serious as I thought. Or like, wait a minute, maybe I overreacted. Or wait a minute, maybe I'm getting so irritable at little things that you normally weren't getting irritated at before in your life, whether it's a family member, friend, workplace, school, whatever your environment is, you really have to be checking in with yourself, right? Because the good news is that you don't have to wait. I do a lot of work with a lot of corporations and organizations about burnout prevention, because you don't have to wait until you get to the point where you are burnt out to do something to help yourself, right? Like, please don't actually. Um, and one of the ways, again, is to be aware of where you're at. with your emotional state, where you're at with your mental health, where you're at with your wellness. And again, I want to be sensitive that sometimes there's just so much stuff going on in our lives and we're so overwhelmed. We don't even realize until we're out of certain situations. You look back, you're like, wait a minute, I was really stressed out. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's hard to see it. Sometimes it's hard to have that insight, which is why it's also highly important to have really good quality people around you, whatever that may look like, who sometimes might be able to help you and say, you know what, you might need to take a mental health day. Like you might need to take a break. Like those people exist. And make sure you also have those type of people surrounding you as well and supporting you, right? But that's tip number one. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Today we're talking about 3 signs to understand when you might need to take that mental reset, right? Because all of us at certain points in our lives need to take a mental reset, but it's a matter of knowing when to do that before you get to a place where you're so burnt out, so stressed out, and now you can't function, right? We don't want to get to that place. And if you already did get to that place, it's okay. You still can reset, right? Too. Um, and I do want to say that because I always talk about this too before I go to the next tip. Do your best not to come from a place of self-blame, of guilt, of why didn't I do something earlier, like all those sorts of things, because sometimes you react differently in certain situations because either you're not aware, as I mentioned before, or you are aware, but it's really difficult to make changes sometimes, right? So when you do, though, get to the other side, whether this is, listening to these tips today, making your own personal changes in your life, maybe you need a coach, maybe you need to reach out to a friend, maybe it's a mental health professional, like however you can work on, right? Like getting to that place where you don't get burnt out, whatever that may look like for you, then you applaud yourself, right? We talked about that before in another mental health moment that we hopefully are working from a place of celebrating our small wins, the big wins. We're celebrating ourselves. We're celebrating the progress instead of being in a place of the negative self talk and I can't believe and why did I do this? And then you don't forgive yourself, like all those sorts of things. Like, let's not go down that mental path. All right. But hi, thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Okay, so the first tip again was when you're just very overwhelmed and everything seems like it's too much, right? Like you're getting irritated by really small things that when you take a step back, you're like, I really shouldn't have been irritated by that. All right. Like when you start to find that pattern, and I don't just mean having a bad day or a bad week, right? Like this is a pattern that you're finding week after week after week, or maybe month after month. The second thing is, sometimes, and I've heard this from a lot of people. The second thing is if you are at a point where you just can't seem to shut your mind off. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when we are very overwhelmed and need to work on getting our mind and bodies into calmer places, our thoughts might really start to race. So you might lay down at night and you're like, man, I've heard this, I feel like 1,000 times, but I can't turn my brain off. Like you cannot fall asleep. Or throughout your day, whether you're at work, at school, with your family, friends, or even in like quiet times, you feel like you can't turn your brain off because you have all these racing thoughts, right? So your mind is not in the calm place that it needs to be. Of course, we're thinking all the time, but when it's, sort of racing and you can't just take a pause in it, that is another huge red flag that you need to take a mental reset for you. Just joined from Louisiana. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. And yeah, for those of you who are still tuning or just not tuning in, feel free to let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. I always love to hear where you guys are or see where you guys are tuning in from. But that's another thing to really keep in mind and that's another thing to keep in mind that when you have those racing thoughts, that could be a red flag. But I also want to say that without sounding too clinical here, but that is also a symptom of a lot of different things. So please reach out. Like if this is really a huge issue for you, the racing thoughts or like problems sleeping for long periods of time, reach out to a mental health professional. You can reach out to your, primary care physician, but because sometimes it's a bigger issue than just being a little bit stressed out. But it is a red flag, right? That you may need a mental health or mental wellness reset. Hi from Vancouver, Canada. Welcome. Oh my gosh, Vancouver, Canada. I love that place. I went there. Oh man, that was a long time ago. I think that was before COVID. So really long time ago. But I remember, yeah, it was before COVID. I remember it was so beautiful. Just as an aside, let me take a pause because I'm so excited. Someone's here from Vancouver. It was so beautiful. I saw Oprah came to town for something. I guess she was on a book tour or something like that. Well, I say came to town, came to Vancouver, and I just happened to be there for another event. So of course I took a little detour before I went home and went to see Oprah on her, I think it was a book tour or something like that in Vancouver. But I do remember it being just a gorgeous place. So hey Vancouver. Hi from Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Okay. I love seeing where you guys tune in from. Okay, and then the third thing to think about, the third tip of today. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about three different signs of when you may need to take that mental reset for you, right? Like just some red flags, like some things to be thinking about when you're asking yourself, hopefully, how am I doing? Right? Like when you're checking in with yourself, what is it that you're looking for? How do you know you're stressed out? How do you know you need a break or meant to reset? The third thing is, the third thing is also emotionally how you're doing. Like, are you feeling so emotions are they're on a spectrum, right? Some of you, when you're overwhelmed, you might just shut down, like emotionally just shut down, meaning you might be very numb. You might not feel like going to work, or you might not feel like, I don't know, whatever it is that you're involved with, like positive activities for you, you might not feel like doing that anymore. Like it's just your emotions are very like decreased, if you will. So again, when you think about emotions, it's always on a spectrum. Or sometimes, like I was saying before, the other end of the spectrum is like outwardly, like being agitated, being irritated. Maybe you're getting into more fights with people, verbal fights with people, or all those sorts of things, right? Like where is your emotion? And especially compared to your baseline for you. You know your personality, you know yourself. Are you being yourself right now? Or have you become so overwhelmed, so stressed out, so drained that you are like, when you take a step back, you're like, wait a minute, this is a different person, right? Like, because you really have to be asking yourself those sorts of things. Or are other people around you saying, hey, I've noticed these changes in you? Like, again, good, supportive people around you are so important. And they're saying, hey, we're a little concerned. You seem a little stressed out. You seem overwhelmed, right? Like, those are all signs that you really should think about taking that mental reset. Yeah, someone said Oprah is amazing. How exciting. Yes. It was exciting. It was so fun. And self-care is so important. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. And I will say what's so interesting. So again, hopefully you all are checking in with yourselves. But what's so interesting is self-care is like you don't always need the same dose every week, if that makes sense. Because even though I'm a big fan, of course, I preach this, just wrote a book on it, right? Of taking the minute daily. So that, yes, take your minute minimum daily, 60 seconds, time yourself with a cell phone. Take that time for you. But when it comes to true like self care, it just really depends on what season of your life you're in. Like there's seasons of your life, and I don't know what season you're in right now. You know what season you're in. There's seasons of your life where they're just hard, dark times, right? So you might absolutely positively need more TLC for yourself. You need more self-care. You need to be doing things to uplift yourself, to get yourself through whatever that self-care looks like for you, or whatever that support looks like for you. Like you might need more of it in that season, and then there's other seasons that please still take your minute. Okay. I'm not saying to like drop all your self care, but there might be other seasons where you do your maintenance, if you will, and you don't need as much self care. You don't need as many mental health days, or, however it is that self care looks for you. And that's okay. Right. Like we're just in different seasons of our lives. But the most important thing is you have to be checking in and being aware of where you're at to know what you need. Right. And most of us, because we're wrapped up in so many things happening in the world. We got social media, we got our friends, we got our family members, we got so much happening that we really, really tend to neglect ourselves, which is why you gotta make sure you're checking in with yourself, right? You gotta make sure you're asking yourself, just like you'd ask everyone around you. For some of you, you're asking everyone else, which is good. Check in with other people, but also for you, asking yourself, how am I doing? Right. And also, what do I need? So you ask yourself, what do I need physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, right? And then you can also ask yourself, what is one step that you need to take today to make improvements in your life, right? One thing. It may be like, I need to start taking a minute. Or it might be, I need a break. It might be, I need a mental reset, right? Whatever that looks like for you. But really important is to remember you can start small with this. This is why I always preach and practice taking a minute because you can start small with your self-care. It doesn't have to always be a long like weekend trip for my self-care or mani-pedi, not that those aren't important. Or whatever it is that you consider self-care. All of it is important, but it's also more important to be consistent with yourself. Small acts of self-care count too, right? That is important too. There's a ton of research. I've shared this before, a mental health moment, but there's a ton of research on what's called micro breaks, right? Meaning, again, things like taking a minute, taking 5 minutes, taking 10 minutes, like relaxing your mind and body, even in short doses, is better than you just going on autopilot and never taking a break, right? Because our brains will get exhausted, right? Or you will get to burnout. And then we can't function. So let's not get to that part. But again, um, it's it's really important for you to be thinking about being aware, right, of what's happening within you and also making sure that you take the steps that you need. And those steps come in many different forms, right? But self-care is important. Absolutely. Okay. So what else did I want to share? No, I shared everything in the announcements earlier. Okay. If you I do want to share though, if you ever miss a mental health moment, you can always go to Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page and watch the replays. Because some of you ask me actually often, we're gonna get the replay. And it's like, so it's on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page. You can always watch a replays. It'll have, obviously the title of what we talked about. Or if there's just something that you're like, you know what, I need to learn more about something to improve myself today in a certain set area, you can always go on there and watch it on there anytime. Okay, I think that's all my announcements. So be blessed. Have an amazing week. I will see you all next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.